Hey guys, Troy here again, and wanted to share with you another Waterman, introduce you to a pen that I wanted to have in my collection for quite some time, and I was able to acquire it and wanted to show it off here for you a little bit, and maybe give you an idea to add to your collection if you're looking for vintage. Now let's go back to the book here. I know that not 100% of everything is correct in this book, so I'm told, but by and large it's actually pretty good. The Waterman Past and Present, First 6 Decades by Max Davis and Gary Lehrer, and Gary recently passed away, but I had the chance to meet him a bunch of times. Here is the page that I wanted to share with you. Sleeve fillers, Waterman sleeve fillers, 1910 to 1915. The sliding sleeve covers a bladder and a pressure bar, which is pressed to fill the pen. And here I have some pictures in this book, and right here, the number 12, and you can see like they've got the number 14. But the idea is there's an opening in that black chased hard rubber barrel, and that you're able to press down on a pressure bar, and there's an ink bladder in there. You're probably very familiar with it, whether or not you know. If you have a pilot, or if you have an aerometric filler of any kind, essentially you have an ink bladder, which this is nothing more than a rubber sack, essentially, that plugs down in as a converter rather than being permanently mounted to that section. And the idea with the Waterman 12 sleeve filler is you would end up doing the work of the lever. And a lever just presses down on a bar like this and squeezes. And just like you would do with an aerometric filler, you press down on a bar and it depresses that bladder, and just like a lever would do, instead you're just doing it with your finger on one of these. So with that in mind, let me show you the number 12 sleeve filler. It is a beautiful pen. I got this from antiquedigger.com. Antique Digger, if you go there, use discount code TROY, T-R-O-Y, T-R-O-Y, you can get 10% off any of your purchases on that website. And I strongly encourage you to use that. I use my discount code there as well, and I won't go shopping there without it. So why not if you have the opportunity? So this is the sleeve filler. It looks a little different than you would think, right? Because you have this plumped out barrel here, and you've got a cap over here. I'll lay that down. And it is a number 12SF. SF stands for sleeve filler. I'm going to lay that right down to a regular number 12, Waterman number 12. Now, according to the numbering system for Waterman during that time period, number 1 says it's a cone cap eyedropper, but obviously this is not an eyedropper, but nonetheless, it does have SF for sleeve filler. And you can see that imprint right there on the bottom of the barrel. And of course the number 2 refers to it having a number 2 nib on it. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll give you a few details about this, but also first let me go ahead and show you the video that Antique Digger had put out on Instagram about the very pen that you see right here.
Here's an uncommon Waterman number 12 sleeve filler. You'll see the nomenclature there is pretty clean. It's a slip cap. It's black chase hard rubber. The chasing is there. It's just a little bit light. We have a gold band. This looks to me like PJ Company. I can't find any information on that, but somebody may. It has a super smooth number 2 Waterman number 2 nib. Really nice range from a 0.53, which is a extra fine, to 1.88, which is a triple broad. But basically all you're doing is pushing back the sleeve to expose the pressure bar, put a new sack in, you press that down, the sack absorbs ink, and then you're ready to write. This is the Smooth Wet Writer.
Alright, so there you go. The Waterman number 12 sleeve filler. Black chased hard rubber, throughout the construction. And then you've got this beautiful 18 karat gold filled barrel banding that is on it. And there is actually, it's like a floral pattern, and there is some initials, I do believe, that were engraved into it right there in the area for some engraving of the cartouche area right there. So this particular pen does have a really good imprint still on it, and right there you can see that it does say patented 1884, May 23rd, 1899, Waterman's fountain pen, New York, USA, and August 4th, 1903, and it's got the globe logo on it right there. And I showed you already the number 12 SF, or sleeve filler imprint, right there on the butt end of the fountain pen. Let's see, what else can I tell you? The slip type cap. This is a like Waterman tended to have at the time. You would have a slip cap, and that goes to show there with the number 2 Waterman nib. And you've got the section right here that is very typical, actually, of those early number 12s right here. So you get the barrel band and tapering down. What I will tell you is, out of curiosity, I wanted to see if, and I didn't think that it would, this number 12 cap does not go on this number 12 sleeve filler. They are not interchangeable. This looks to have never had a clip on it. So these were made clipless. And in the book I showed you, they actually had some clipped models that were in there in the pictures that they had taken. So let's see, what else can I tell you about this particular pen? The nib, I already told you about the nib. It does have kind of a very fine point, so it's almost like writes like an extra fine, but it has a nice flex down to a broad to triple broad. Now, I told you it's a sleeve filler. You probably saw in the video from Antique Digger about it. Well, here you've got the barrel, and here it's called a sleeve filler because this sleeve just comes right down. So, right there, open, close, and that reveals a cutout within that black chased hard rubber, like I told you and showed you in the picture. You can see right on it, it's got the Waterman Ideal Globe logo right there on the pressure bar. And I'll try to angle it so you can see there is a silicone sack that has been put onto this pen for its restoration. And let's see how much ink. I can still slosh it around a little bit. Not so much. I've been running a little bit low on ink because I've been using this pen actually right regular. But what you would do is you would depress this bar, just like I showed you on that little converter, and then you would press it several times, let it suck ink up into that bladder, and then you would just close it again. And now you would take it and you are ready to scribble. And I've been scribbling quite a bit. And I can tell that I just inked myself really bad because I've been playing with it just a little too much. Alright, I've done a little bit of cleaning up from the inking that I received. And a couple things about this particular pen that I've been learning the more that I use it. Every pen has its own little personality and quirks. And this particular one definitely has a few of its own. And I only learned it from experience with it over the past week or so of actually taking it, writing with it, and playing with it. Because, number one, how often do you get to play with a pen from like 1910 to 1915, you know? But much less one that's a little rare to find. These are not very common out on the open market. Which is why when I saw it, I said, I've been wanting one of those in my collection for quite a while. I'm just gonna go get it before before it's gone, because I've been wanting to put one into my collection. And be honest with you, right behind it, I bought another pen that was in my collection, the one I wanted to put into my collection. It's non-Waterman. I'll show that one to you eventually. Here's a pen. I already showed you the number 12 right beside it, but just for grins, I pulled out that converter, that squeeze converter, out of my Pilot Metropolitan. So I'll put that Pilot Metro right next to it so you can get an idea of the size of that particular pen. And yes, this thing likes to roll on my desk. Get it out of my way. So there you go. So that is about the size comparison there, and that's about as much size comparison as you're going to get out of me today. This particular pen, it tends to like to be full to write its best. you know, there was still some ink down in there, even though I showed you on the sleeve filler that it really didn't have what looked like a good inking, because like I said, I've used this quite a bit this week, and I've used up an awful lot of the ink that I filled it with. But as it gets a little lower in ink, even though there was still ink, because I went ahead and expelled what was in there into this bottle, and there was still actually a good amount of ink left in this particular pen. But it starts to write like it's ink starved, when you'd really think, no, there should be plenty of ink in there. No, actually, it starts to write a little lighter. So it likes to be full, all right? And I found that out kind of the hard way by playing with it. So I went ahead and refilled this as long as I was going ahead and cleaning up the ink spillage. The other thing is that pressure bar is really sensitive. So you just tap it and you've got some ink coming out. Or you just move that sleeve and you've got ink coming out. And I probably should have cleaned out that barrel, because there's probably ink now all inside that barrel. But I'll just wipe this off with my paper towel. And I'll get a Q-tip and I'll clean out the inside of that hard rubber cap. So now that I've re-inked it and I've wiped some ink off from my hands that will have to wear off, what I found is in the shower it comes off quite well, especially you're playing with a poof and some liquid soap. But anyway, here we are. So we got a Waterman number 12SF, which stands for sleeve filler. And you can see sometimes it writes just a little light. It's got an extra fine nib to it. And you can see it writes better in some. Your upward strokes are a little lighter. They're always, on this pen, since I've been playing with it, the upward strokes are always a little lighter than your downward strokes. And you can apply a little bit of pressure downward and you can get a much broader line, because it is a number 2 nib that has an awful lot of flex on that 14 karat gold nib. But if you don't put any pressure, you've got a nice extra fine but very light line to it. I personally don't like it that light. I'm going to have to apply a little bit of pressure, just a little bit, and I can get a much better line out of it. So on the upstroke, you can see it's a little light. Well, get a little pressure on the upstroke in order to make it not so light on the up. So I may see what I can do about maybe a little bit of nib work on this thing, but I'm not going to give it a whole lot of nib work. I mean, it's, you know, the pen is like, what, 110 years old? So, you know, I want to be careful with it and not be destructive about it. So I showed you what ink I put into it. I wouldn't put anything but a Waterman's black ink. Black ink. If you like flex nibs, you know, people are making a big deal nowadays, and I don't understand the going gaga over flex nibs. I will take a nice, buttery smooth, rigid manifold nib over a flex nib any day. For instance, I've got 2 Waterman 58s. One has a manifold nib, and the other has a flex number 8 nib. That's not real easy to find, that number 8 flex. But I like writing with a manifold a whole lot more. Waterman 55, I've got a great manifold nib in it. That works fantastically well. I got a number 2 manifold nib around here somewhere in one of my pens, and I do like a good buttery smooth rigid nib over flex. Don't get me wrong, flex nibs are fun to play with, fun to write with. If you want to do calligraphy, if you want line variations and you want to get fancy, flex nibs are awesome. And I don't mind them. And I like the historicity of them. I like the fact that this is a very old nib, that you know, it's over a century old, and it still writes fairly well. This particular pen, I really can't complain. You come down, light, like that. So, like I said, it's a beautiful pen. I enjoy the old pens so much. Black chased hard rubber, ebonite. Essentially, it's I like the chased hard rubber. I like ebonite pens more and more. Modern pens as well as vintage, because I've got some moderns that are in ebonite, and I'm going to show you those here in a little while. One of which I've been meaning to show you for quite a while, actually. And I actually like ebonite more than I do anything that's been acrylic or metal. And these vintage pens are just fantastic, in my humble opinion. I do like it a lot. So the number 12, fantastic pen. I've got number 12s and eyedroppers, and of course this is the precursor to a lever filler, where you actually act as the lever. So the number 12 sleeve filler, one that I've wanted in my collection for quite some time. I've got it, and believe me, this inking thing, this is the first time, and here it is. I'm doing it on camera. Go figure. I didn't have that problem when I first inked it up, but then again, after I inked it up, I closed up the sleeve and I hadn't opened it, played with it, touched it, and trying to show it off like that. But I've been finding, obviously, that sleeve, when you slide that sucker out, you're going to end up expelling a little bit of ink. So you better be ready to ink it up if you go to show it off, or get ready to wipe it up. But anyway, like I said, pens all have their own personalities, and I've been learning about this one more and more, and I really enjoy writing with it. So I guarantee I'll be doing a lot more writing with it, because I keep it, it's been kept inked since I got it, and I've been having a lot of fun with number 12 Waterman sleeve filler.